Welcome back to the next video in our series on our F1 Cadet car. Today we're going to look at creating some views or images of the car that we can put onto posters, and also a set of engineering drawings. So with the car itself, I've already gone and I've put the body of the car to this purple colour, which I plan to paint it. But to do that, go back to your Part Studio for the car body, and on the right hand side click on the appearance panel. So in here I can, if I want, select the Cadet car body, and I can change it to any color as a solid body. You can also go through and pick custom colors if you'd like, and just whatever range of colors. The other thing you can do is by clicking this button, add face appearance, you can turn around and set a specific color for a specific part of the body. So you might turn around and say, well, I want to make the wings, let's go bright yellow. So if I go bright yellow, now this looks cool, but the one thing you've got to keep in mind, whatever you make it look like in Onshape as a CAD model, you need to try and be able to paint that in real life by hand, which is easier said than done. I'm not going to bother with that personally, excuse me, but entirely up to you. So once you've picked a color for that, go back to your car assembly, and as you can see here, I've got the purple. I want to change my view, so if I go to the camera and render options to shaded without edges, it just makes it look that little bit more realistic. The other thing is orientate the car to something that's going to look nice. To me, the angle there looks a little bit artificial, so I'm going to just lift the car up a smidgen just to make it look a little bit flatter. Alright, to export that as a view, we go up to our document menu and select print. And for this, we're just going to make sure that the car fits within this boundary box, and we can sort of scroll in and out and reposition it to get it roughly in the center. With the image size, the larger the size page, the better the quality of the image as you zoom in will be. I found that, for general use, A3, A2 is fine. We want to keep it landscape, and we click on download image. So it's now rendering the image into a PNG format. It does take a few minutes, so don't rush and get impatient. But once it's done that, we're going to get a dialog box come up saying, please save. Okay, we're going to save the file. I'm just going to dump it on my desktop because I'll need that very soon. And that part of the process is finished. We can move on now to setting engineering drawings. So insert a new element, create drawing. With Onshape being an American-based program, I always go for a custom template. And if you notice, with the sizes on the ANSI standard, this is where it comes a bit of a challenge. So change your standard to ISO. We're going to set up A3. We're going to make sure it's millimeters, period, great. Make sure you have third angle projection. First and foremost, very important. Border zones don't really matter. Don't worry about the start zones. We do want a title block. And if you want, you can make it a little bit bigger. But again, for this, we'll just go from there. Click OK. It'll create your drawing sheet and just light up a blank page. All right. So we need to put some parts in. Now, again, Onshape's trying to be helpful. Select part assembly. We want to go to assemblies, and I want to put the car assembly in. So in this case, the default view I want, really want one of the side views, and there's a reason for that. And the other thing is the view scale. Let's go 1 to 2. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit crowded on the page. So we're going to put the side of the car there. And as we move around, you'll notice that the boxes change a little bit. And that's because it's automatically creating the assigned views depending on which side of the main view I move the mouse. So we now have our left-hand view, Click again, we'll put a front view on there. Click again, let's go for a top view. And at the moment, I think, actually, let's just quickly chuck it. Put an isometric view up there as well. Now we can tweak all this later. All right, so we've got to start dimensioning this. And this is the hardest part when students go, well, what dimensions do I need to put on the car? My suggestion is to look at the marking criteria or specification criteria for scrutineering. So I've got open here a set of the specification scorecards for cadets. Now this is relating to the 2020-2021 rules. And to get an idea what to start putting on my engineering drawings, have a look and see, well, what is dimension? So anything that has a dimensional guide on there, we need to think, well, how can I dimension that on the car? I'm going to do the main ones today. So we're going to start with things like overall track clearance, T3.6. So going back to my model, I'm going to select my dimension tool, which is up here, or use the D key, and overall car length, and I actually find this one best on the top view. I'm going to select the very front corner of the car there, select the very back edge of the canister housing there, and if I scroll up, I can place that. Now, it does give you the option to modify the dimension, so just escape out of that, double click on the dimension, and what helps, if I type in T3.6 dash, and you can override this as well. So 199.69, just going to change that to 200. Enter. All right. Nope. Okay. Don't worry about it. 199.369, T3.6. Let's go down. Track clearance, T3.8. And let's do this one. Might do the rear view for this one. So again, dimension, go from the bottom of the wheel, bottom of the car. And we were looking at here, T3.8. So T3.8. And there is my next dimension for that one. And you pretty much just keep working your way through. So balsa thickness. Now this one's a little bit hard because there's so many places you could dimension. I would be looking at your model going, is there anywhere that's not a wing that could be really close to being 3 millimeters? You could dimension that. On this model, everything's pretty close to being the right size. Let's go to the next page down. Side pod projected surface. Now, I know this is going to be a bit of an issue on my model, but what you can do is, ones like this where it's not clearly obvious, you can draw a line on the side of the car. Sorry, start that again. So I'm going to come up. And if I draw a box on the side of the car, I can dimension that box. There you go, 8.1. So I've got a little bit of work to do on this one. But anyway, so for now, I'm not going to worry about that one. We won't tell anyone that my that everything isn't right. Oh, sorry, my apologies. I should mention that's a scaled line. So that was 8.1. It needs to be 16.2 because we've got a 1 to 2 scale on the car. My bad. So as we keep going, so exclusion zone behind front wheels. Again, top view is a really great one for this one. So we'll click on the front of the wheel and we'll come over to that edge there, the 25.57. edit that, we're looking at T4.6. Again, T4.6. Space, enter. So again, we keep building our dimensions up like that. And you keep going, front wings, three wings. So clear airspace around the wings. And I reckon this one's going to be really tight, but let's have a look. Yeah, 2.56. So this is a great time to check. I haven't got front or clear airspace around my front wings. So now I'll just quickly enter that as 2.56. I can come back to my part studio and have a look. Let's have a look at the front wing. So there's my sketch there for the front wing. And what I could probably do, let's grab a dimension. Around here, we've got 14. So I've got plenty of length there. Let's drop that back to 14.9. Let's say 13. Yep, pull that forward a little bit. And then if I come back to my drawing, all going well, it should update in a minute. When it decides to update, it should automatically change the angle of that to the front wing. No, I'll work on that one. Anyway, so keep going through that, adding all the different views. Now, to put the image in that we created before, I'm going to insert an image, going to go to other documents, import the image up to the desktop with car assembly. So import it in. There we go. And I need to just get that up to a size. So we can put a rendered view of the car in as well, just to help explain that. Now, if I'm using that rendered view there, obviously don't need this one, unless I'm using this for some purpose. All right, so got my images in here. So with an intended purpose, you might, for example, want to, on the regulations, look at wing rules. It says here, wing surfaces clearly identified in engineering drawings. So, sorry, excuse me. On this side here, what you could look at is colouring in just that top block of the wing there, or the front wing down here, just to make it really obvious for the judges so they can work out what's a wing surface and whatnot. For most cars, it's fairly self-explanatory, but you might get a, you might have something a bit tricky up your sleeve with your wings, and you need to define that a lot clearer. The last thing you need to do is work on your title block. Make sure that when you're creating your title, you put the applicable names in here, drawing numbers. So basically when you hand it in, or when the judges are marking your work, they know whose it is. So to do that, just double click on there and F1 Cadet car, and again you can just edit all these as applicable. All right, gentlemen and ladies, and everyone else, thank you very much for your time. I hope that went well, and good luck.